Can you tell us about the Revisiting Charlottesville project?
Sure. The Revisiting Charlottesville project is a National Geographic Society funded grant project that is going to primarily fund the opportunity to get students out in field experiences to revisit places around Charlottesville and be able to explore it through a geographic lens and with geographic concepts in mind. And so what that means is so often we go to locations like, let's say, many of you visited Monticello in elementary school. You may not return to Monticello again until you have children that are in fourth grade that go back to Monticello. And the truth is, a lot of places as we get older, we develop new understandings of the world and we have different ways of looking at things. And so the goal with this grant is to use the geographic inquiry model, which asks you to ask geographic questions such as, where does it occur? Why does it occur there? And why should we care that it's occurring there? So really, why, where, why there, why care? And Monticello, Montpelier, and a lot of communities in the last 10 years have reframed and decided to tell a different story than most people experience when they visited those places in fourth or fifth grade. So using the funding from National Geographic, we're going to be able to take students on field experiences to locations like Shenandoah National Park, the University of Virginia, Monticello, Montpelier, possibly Richmond, and downtown Charlottesville to explore the community with new questions about what happened here, why did it happen here, and how does the past inform what we're seeing occurring now.
The purpose of this grant is twofold, actually. The first part that we are really focused on currently is actually revisiting Charlottesville. So we're going to take our own local history and think about the layers of time and place and how those interact. So if you think about, just an ordinary spot, you can think about like Albemarle High School, you can think about that historically, like when was it built? What was there before it? You can also think about it economically. So there are shops directly around that depend on Albemarle High School for business, right? And then you can think about it geographically, like it's on a hill like this, and that causes problems sometimes with the rainwater that comes through. Not sure if you're aware. So you can think about it geographically, you can think about it economically, you can think about it culturally, like what kind of importance has Albemarle had in the community as a whole. So there's lots of layers, and thinking about our own local history is really important, but it's not just history. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So the second sort of layer on that is that we're going to create a process that other schools and communities can use to do the same thing in their own communities. So Charlottesville has a very deep and rich and sometimes painful history, but we're not alone. Like there's a lot of places that have deep and rich and painful histories. So creating a process that other teachers can use to learn about their own place is part of our mission as well.
How did you get connected with National Geographic? What did you have to do to secure the grant?
Okay. So I've been working with National Geographic off and on for the last 10 years. But last year I took just doing curriculum work and learn, and I love geography. Like anybody that takes my class will know Mr. Bunin loves geography. And last year I took a class online through National Geographic called the Educator Certification Program. And in that program, you learn about the geographic inquiry model and ways to improve your teaching of geography and exposing kids to the geography of today, not the geography of yesterday. The geography of today is really dynamic, it's digital, it's interactive, it's very complex. The geography of yesterday is color this map, memorize this river, and know the capital of this country or state. And so during that course, I designed a lesson on using geospatial technologies or web mapping to have students research their favorite recipe. It's an interactive way to look at the geography of food. And then an announcement came out to request an RFP or a request for proposals for a quote unquote That's Geography grant. And what that means is everywhere you look around the world, you see geography. Everything is geography, geography is everything. And so I went and talked to Ms. Craddock, our librarian last year, and Mr. Seipel, our technology integrator, and I was like, you know what? we need to apply for this grant because our backyard is our classroom. And really we need funding to get the kids out of the building and to go to places, because one of the most expensive things is our field trips and transportation. And so we wrote this grant and pitched that we want to take kids on field experiences with question frames and web mapping tools and their smartphones to capture cultural assets in our community and map them. And so we pitched it to them, they liked it, and they sent a check to Albemarle County Schools for $50,000.
How did you get involved in the project?
I got involved in the project because I was hanging out with Bunin. So we had this idea to create an augmented reality walking tour of Charlottesville, to think about how we can better express to people not from here what our history and our town is really about. So thinking about combining augmented reality with global information systems and how we can combine those two things to really ultimately tell the truth about Charlottesville was how we started. And as soon as Bunin saw this grant come across, he was like, hey, this has to do with this other project that we were thinking about, and maybe we can combine the two together, which we did.
How will students be involved in the project? Can you describe what some of that work will look like?
Yeah, so at the beginning of this project, I think the goal is that it's a student-centered project. You as the students, you have the questions, and you have the questions that need to be answered about our communities. Where are things where they are? Why are they that way? But in addition to that, our goal is to show that not everything means the same thing to the same person, that different places have different meanings. For instance, Alex loves UVA. I don't. I went to Virginia Tech. When I walk into John Paul Jones Arena, I don't have a warm, fuzzy feeling about the Wahoos winning the national championship. Alex walks into that stadium, and I submit that Alex has an entirely different impression of JPJ Arena. Am I right, Alex? He's just shaking his head. But so that's just a fun little example of how can somebody have a different sense of place of the same location. And so the goal is that the students will be the ones collecting these places on the map. But we're going to need tools that allow students to digitize and collect those tools. And so Alex is a GIS 2 student who's I'm going to put him on the spot to explain how can you develop tools that would help AP Human Geography students collect information about their community, Alex.
Well, I think it's really cool, like with GIS this year, especially this year, like with, everyone being virtual, and it's kind of, I think our goal is to make it like a virtual field trip. Like you can go and see some of these places around town that you're not going to be able to go, or, get like a tour group to go and see these places. And, if we go out and we make it like that, then people can be in their classrooms and, be seeing these things from a different perspective that, oh, I haven't seen Monticello, like you said, in 10 years. And you can see it now virtually. So I think if we go out, we can map the data and use tools to do it. It would benefit a lot of people.
And Alex, I'm going to ask you, and I'm kind of setting you up for this question. Can you describe how these tools work? Like you as a GIS2 student, what could you create that me or she could use to collect points on a map?
Well, you can make a feature class map, and we can set it up, and then you can go and add things to it. And like we made one in class about the recipes, and Mr. Bunin set it up, and he gave the students access to it. And now we can all go on here and do our own, and then everyone can go look at it and see different people's perspective of it.
So the goal is that Alex and other GIS2 students are going to make the collector tools so that you get a blank map, and as students explore the community, they will be able to enter in points on the map and explain to us what type of cultural asset it is or community asset. Is it a street name? Is it a building? Is it a place where a store used to be, but now a community is there? Do people have different interpretations of the same place? Just Albemarle High School itself, if we were to ask all of you to stand in front of Albemarle High School and put a dot on the map and tell us, what do you feel about Albemarle High School's space? Some are going to say, I love it. Some are going to say, it's okay. And then sometimes your sense of space changes depending on where you are in the building. So the tool that Alex is going to make would allow you to put a dot at different locations within the space. So sometimes space isn't just what you see is what you get when you get there. Your sense of space and place changes as you move throughout a location or an area. And so the goal is that at the end of 3 years, we're going to have a really robust, dynamic community asset map that teachers and students can visit to say, what is this place? I wonder what this point is on the map. When they click on it, they'll get an explanation of this is what this point represents. And in some cases, they might see a rainbow of colors showing different meanings to different people. And that shows that this is a space that carries different meaning to different folks. And that's why we're having such serious conversations about places, changing names of schools, changing names of streets, or deciding to keep names of places. And for some people, they're wondering, why are we having this conversation? Our hope is that this map will help inform those conversations and make them more rational and more deliberate.
Also, I do just want to add real quick, like you can make a map, and we made our recipe map and he shared it with us, and then everyone put their data into it. So at the end, you're looking at it like, oh my gosh, like we put what was like 120 data points on a map, and people can look at that and be like, wow, that probably took forever. I think it took like 10 to 15 minutes to do it. So if, you know, we can set this up and then allow everyone else to come in there and put their data on there, there can be so much data, and it's just in a matter of time.
And with that, see, you got us in a little GIS wrap session here. The other thing is while we can look at all the points, we can also set the map up to only show one individual's interpretation of that location. So the map that Alex was sharing with you, we did have over 120 points. But if I wanted to just have a conversation with Alex about the geography of his recipe, I could say, just show me Alex's points. And I could say, talk to me about this. And the goal is that that's the same thing here. We're talking about how we want this project to both be personal and collective. So we're going to find out personal stories. They're going to be put in a collective map so that we have a better understanding of the multiple perspectives and dynamics of our community.
Well, thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell people?
That GIS and geography are two really awesome subjects. No, I'm kidding. You don't have to put that in there, but if you're interested in this project, consider taking AP Human Geography or GIS, because we're going to have this project for 3 years. So it's not a one-year project. We have the funding to do this over the next 3 years, and we're going to need people to help us collect and map our I guess to discover and explore our community and map it. So we're going to need people to help us out. So take those classes.
Well, thank you.